Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Hazm Seeker. Well, they are the photos that everyone is talking about. The decision to publish topless pictures of the Duchess of Cambridge in French and Italian magazines and an Irish newspaper has angered the British royal family. First of all, your reaction to this decision by the French court, was it the correct one?
I think it was the only decision. The problem that the French court face is the same as the UK and other European courts face. That once the privacy horse has bolted, it's too late. The remedy here is far too limited. The photographs have already been disseminated on the internet, and any remedy that is put in place now can only be a token. It can only have token effect in terms of rectifying the damage that has been done to the Duchess of Cambridge.
Well, let's get to the argument, Paul Tweed, of should these pictures have been published in the first place, because the editor of Closer magazine, which published these pictures, they were the first ones to publish them, has said that the Duchess of Cambridge is a huge public figure. She's one of the most photographed women in the world. They were on a balcony not far from a public road, which is where we understand the pictures were taken from, and they were visible from that road. In that sense, isn't she fair game?
Well, first of all, I would dispute those facts. I mean, she was a long way from the public road. She had a very reasonable expectation of privacy. She was in a private dwelling, enjoying private time. This photographer must have effectively stalked her for a considerable period, given the number of photographs he has taken, and given the fact that he obviously has got the photographs that he'd been waiting for quite a long time. This is not an accidental camera shot. This is somebody who was stalking his victim, and he got photographs totally unlawfully, totally improperly, and the publisher of the magazines in France and in Italy know that's the case, and yet they have gone ahead and done that.
The media now is so widespread, it transcends borders, that it is virtually impossible to police. What's your view on that?
Well, I think it's back to this fundamental point. There has to be a realistic deterrent, and that deterrent has to be agreed across borders. I mean, at the moment we have the situation where the United States and Iceland are taking a certain view in relation to ISPs, and they're protecting them with their freedom of speech laws and First Amendment protection. And in the UK, we have libel laws that, you know, tend to make people think twice in certain circumstances before they broadcast. France, we thought, had very, very strong privacy laws with a criminal offence in the background to deter people, but that clearly didn't work on this occasion. So all countries, I think, have to stand back and recognise now that we're living in a completely new era, where once these things are broadcast or published, there are extremely serious consequences right across the board for individuals and for countries. So we have got to get some degree of mutual understanding and unity in terms of addressing the problem. So far as I see it, the control in relation to the widespread dissemination rests with the ISPs and the service providers such as Google and YouTube. YouTube and Google were able to move relatively quickly to stop the offending video that we were talking about there being broadcast in Egypt and Libya. So they should be capable then, and they obviously are capable of stopping offensive broadcasts, whether it's of a video or whether there are photographs involved. And if there is some form of deterrent that encourages publishers and ISPs to take action, whether it's either by way of a temporary suspension of their operation or their publication, or a substantial fine, or a criminal offence, these issues have to be looked at globally, in my view.
But now that the royal family have pursued this case, are they not giving the magazine editors the publicity they crave by pursuing this in the public eye? I mean, it just gets better for the tabloid magazines because they just get more free publicity and more sales out of it.
Well, that's of course what motivated them to publish in the first place, and I think in this particular instance they had achieved a considerable amount of publicity, so any additional publicity from today's court hearing would be fairly modest in the overall scale of things. There has to be, I mean, I totally agree, I mean, there is no adequate deterrent out there at all. I mean, we talk about Press Complaints Commission, Press Ombudsmans, and you know, there's been talk about some similar body to control the web or to have some sort of influence in certain aspects of the internet. But we've got the bottom line on it is, once the damage has been done, the rest of what we talk or say or do is absolutely pointless. And it is better, while you know one does not want to interfere with freedom of speech and free expression, nonetheless you've got to balance that against the very serious damage that has been caused and will continue to be caused on a much greater scale if steps are not taken to try and get some remedy in. I mean, the problem has been exacerbated by the fact that different countries, both in the Western world, in the Middle East and the Far East, individually have different approaches to these issues. But in a scenario where, for instance, the United States has given a considerable amount of First Amendment protection to ISPs, they then found themselves in a difficult situation when Julian Assange, for instance, decided to publish embarrassing secrets, etc., worldwide, and they were left in a position where they couldn't do very much about it. So this is in the interests of, in my personal opinion, all countries, all governments, to apply their mind to it before the problem gets completely out of control.